Hello, my name is Margaret Dyer, and my historical presentation is on Margaret Bancroft. During the presentation, I will share a little about her background. I was not able to find a lot of information about her early years. Next, I will discuss her philosophical approach to education, and I will conclude the presentation sharing how Margaret Bancroft positively influenced American education. Margaret Bancroft was born June 28, 1854, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Margaret was one of 5 children in a Quaker family. Bancroft was born in a time when education was changing and evolving in America. She was born after Horace Mann had influenced education in America through the Common School movement. This is displayed simply by the fact that she was a female pursuing a teaching degree. Margaret attended the Philadelphia Normal School, where she earned her teaching degree and began teaching 5th grade in the Philadelphia schools. In 1883, at the age of 29, Bancroft left the Philadelphia school system and opened her own school, named the Haddonfield School for the Mentally Deficient and peculiarly backwards. Bancroft rented a home on Center Street in Haddonfield, New Jersey, and initially her school only had 1 student in attendance. Margaret saw a need for education that was available to students with what we now call students with special needs. She was definitely very much a pioneer at this time. She was realizing that these students were not given any option for education, and so that was her motivation to open her own school in 1883. The school was renamed in 1904 as the Bancroft Training School. Philosophical approach. Bancroft's vision for the school she founded, the Haddonfield School, was revolutionary. Her school was one of the first of its kind, offering an education to students with developmental disabilities. Prior to a school like Haddonfield, students with intellectual and developmental disabilities would have been sent to state institutions or not educated at all. This practice of not educating children with special needs seems to contradict the philosophy of Horace Mann, whose vision was to create a free education for anyone capable of learning. Bancroft recognized all children are, in fact, capable of learning. Margaret Bancroft's philosophical approach is evident in the following quotes. Her words speak for themselves. Special children must have special schools with well-trained teachers who use materials adapted to those children's capabilities. They should not be abandoned to state institutions where conditions were appallingly inhumane. Margaret Bancroft. And this quote also highlights another piece of her philosophical approach, was that teachers should be specially trained, therefore launching the career of special education teachers. Above all, we need a more optimistic spirit, a more affirmative point of view in handling our exceptional children. There is too much of a tendency to pronounce difficult cases hopeless and to pack them off to custodial schools. Margaret Bancroft. Bancroft's words display her deep love and devotion to students with special needs. She dedicated her life to supporting these students and advocating for their rights to an education. Bancroft did not stand by and watch as children with special needs were institutionalized. She recognized the wicked problem and took action. Margaret Bancroft worked to create positive change in the field of education. Bancroft created individualized programs to meet the needs and ability level of each student. Bancroft incorporated nutrition, hygiene, exercise, prayer, arts, and sensory development into the curriculum taught to each student. Bancroft worked to increase the overall well-being of her students. Today, we call this looking at the whole child. Today, we offer wraparound support, such as social work counseling, to our students. Bancroft was one of the first educators to introduce and implement this multifaceted level of support. In addition to supporting the physical well-being of her students, Bancroft provided enrichment activities such as field trips to the circus, theater, and museums. Bancroft also understood the importance of students developing their abilities to communicate and their communication skills. Social skills were extremely important and incorporated into her curriculum, and creating social outings for these students was also designed to help increase their language development. How did she influence American education? Oops. Margaret Bancroft had a huge influence on American education as a pioneer in special education. Margaret Bancroft recognized all children, regardless of ability level, deserved a quality education and set out to change the status quo. Margaret Bancroft created the first private school for children with developmental delays. Margaret created specialized and individualized programs for her students, helping launch the field of special education. And as I mentioned, she also helped launch the field of instructing teachers to be special education teachers. Bancroft's school rapidly grew over the course of her lifetime. She passed in 1912. She also founded a women's club, the Haddon Fortnightly, in 1894, which is still active today. Bancroft created the Women's Organization to enrich the lives of women and provide them opportunities to socialize outside of the home by promoting educational, literary, and social interests of its members. So she saw a need there and also created positive change for the women in her community. In addition, the Bancroft organization now provides services and supports to adults with autism, intellectual disabilities, and developmental disabilities, providing at-home services, adult community living programs, and transition services. The Bancroft Training School is a nonprofit institution consisting of a school, early childhood education program, residential program, and year-round evaluation and treatment center. Margaret Bancroft also inspired many medical professionals to help children with disabilities. Overall, Margaret Bancroft helped to change America's view of individuals with disabilities and fought for the right of every child to receive an appropriate education which meets their individual needs. This next page is my reference pages for where I found the information, and I have my images also referenced at the bottom there. And I just want to thank you all for taking the time to review my presentation, and I look forward to your comments. Thank you.